and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Our top story. The Home Ministry has issued fresh guidelines for the extended lockdown period till 3rd of May. The fresh guidelines come as Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that curbs will be relaxed post 20th of April in areas that are not corona hotspots. In relaxations aimed at restarting the economy, the industries will be allowed to function in rural areas from 20th of April with strict social distancing norms. Also, manufacturing and industrial units with access control in SEZs, export-oriented units, industrial estates and industrial townships will be allowed to function from 20th of April. The Home Ministry has also ordered industries to make arrangements for the stay of the workers by observing the social distancing norms. Also, agricultural, horticultural, farming and procurement of agricultural products will be allowed from 20th of April. Manrega works will also be allowed with a strict implementation of the social distancing norms and also the use of face masks from 20th of April. However, these exemptions will be valid only if there is a strict implementation of the provisions of the Disaster Management Act 2005, and the government has also placed a ban on the sale of tobacco, gutka and liquor, and also spitting has been made a punishable offence. And now we look at what all has been exempted from the lockdown till the 3rd of May. So all the essential services like grocery, vegetable stores, milk supply, bank branches and ATMs and manufacturing units that produce drugs and medicines have been exempted. Meanwhile, all the educational and training institutions will remain closed till the 3rd of May. Train services and all international and domestic flights will also remain suspended, along with the taxi and auto services. Also, all religious places will remain closed. Other public places like cinema halls, shopping malls, gyms, swimming pools will remain closed till 3rd of May. And the government has also made compulsory the use of face covers in public places. And the government has also instructed the workspaces to monitor and conduct the screening of their employees regularly and also maintain a gap of 1 hour in between the shifts of the employees.
आज गृह मंत्रालय ने एक और आदेश पारित किया है जहां ये कहा गया है कि जो ऐसे क्षेत्र हैं जिनमें जो हॉटस्पॉट या कंटेनमेंट जोन्स नहीं हैं, जो संवेदनशील नहीं हैं, वहाँ कुछ जो जरूरी गतिविधियाँ हैं उनमें कुछ राहतें दी गई हैं, लेकिन साथ साथ ये भी कहा गया है कि ये राहतें उन्हीं क्षेत्रों में हैं जो हॉटस्पॉट्स नहीं हैं और इनकी दो अलग शर्तें हैं। पहली शर्त ये कि जो भी लॉकडाउन के दिशा निर्देश हैं वो उनकी कड़ी अनुपालना होनी होगी इन क्षेत्रों में, और जो भी गतिविधियां हैं जिनमें राहतें दी जा रही हैं उनको क्रियान्वित करने से पहले सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग की दृष्टि से कुछ प्रारंभिक कार्यों को लागू वहां पे करना आवश्यक है।
All right, to get a perspective and more updates on the revised guidelines that have been issued by the government, let us go across to our colleague Kriti Mishra, who is joining us live from the national capital. Good evening, Kriti. Kriti, compared to the first stage of the lockdown, the second stage of lockdown includes a lot of relaxations for a large set of workers and the economy. What has been the objective of the revised guidelines?
Well, absolutely, Aishwarya. Government has unveiled a comprehensive strategy for mitigating the adverse impact of COVID-19 on the economy and specifically on the job market in the country. Now, these include several steps, including smoothing of the operations of the trucks and also adequate manpower, reaching out to the farmers and ensuring that their perishable commodities that is taken care of. There are several industries which are part of the crucial supply chain in the country, and the same have been kept in operation according to the new rules today. For instance, factories in the industrial zones or the special economic zones can start their operations. Companies will provide dormitories for workers in the near factory premises, and very importantly, the social distancing rules will apply to the factory and all the operations that will be resumed, and also refineries that will be operational, along with transportation and distribution of petroleum products. Jute and packaging material, that is a very important component of the entire supply chain and packaging industry. Coal production and transportation will be permitted. So with these steps that the government is allowing some economic activity to restart, especially in the labor intensive sectors, there is a likelihood that we can mitigate the losses to a great extent.
Right, Kriti. And Kriti, in his latest remarks, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has laid emphasis on both protecting the lives and the livelihoods. So how will the present guidelines, help in achieving that objective?
Well, Aishwarya, in announcing the extension of the lockdown on Tuesday, in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also acknowledged the impact on the economy, and world over economists are worried about it. He also said that one of the top priorities of the government of India is to reduce the difficulties of the migrant laborers. We saw the exodus. But as far as the industry is concerned, and talking about the industry chambers, they have turned Prime Minister Modi's announcement to extend the lockdown till May 3rd to contain COVID-19 spread as prudent. In fact, India Inc. has also said that the move will flatten the curve, while they've also sought an urgent financial help for the industries across board. So the COVID-19 trajectory as of now that requires containment response and Prime Minister's decision for continuation of the lockdown is thought to be necessary to avert large humanitarian crisis. But these set of new rules, as the chambers have said, that they will strike a balance between lives and livelihoods in India. Over to you, Aishwarya.
Right, Kriti, thank you so much for all those updates. And now an update on the coronavirus situation in our country. COVID-19 positive cases in India rose to 11,439 after 1,076 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. The Health Ministry data puts the nationwide death toll from the outbreak at 392. Maharashtra tops the tally with 178 deaths. 1,343 patients have been cured of the virus or discharged. Addressing the daily briefing on the COVID-19 situation, Health Ministry Joint Secretary Love Agarwal said that districts will be classified into three categories: hotspot districts, non-hotspot districts, but where cases are being reported, and green zone districts. He said that the government has identified 170 districts in the country as COVID-19 hotspots, while 207 districts were non-hotspot districts. The Health Ministry reiterated that there is no community transmission in the country so far. In terms of coronavirus positive cases and COVID-19 deaths, Maharashtra is the worst affected with 2,801 coronavirus cases. On Wednesday, 117 new cases were recorded in the state, of which 66 are from Mumbai and 44 from Pune. The total number of positive coronavirus cases reached 1,561 in Delhi, according to the Delhi government. The death toll due to the deadly COVID-19 stands at 30 in the national capital. The Delhi government has declared 55 hotspots so far. Tamil Nadu has 1,204 cases, Telangana 647, Rajasthan 1,005, Madhya Pradesh 987, Gujarat at 695 and Andhra Pradesh at 503 are among the other worst affected states.
देश के हर जिले उसको हॉटस्पॉट डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स, नॉन हॉटस्पॉट डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स लेकिन वहां पर केसेस रिपोर्ट हो रहे हैं, और ग्रीन जोन डिस्ट्रिक्ट जहां पर की कोई केसेस नहीं आए हैं उसमें बांटा गया है। हॉटस्पॉट डिस्ट्रिक्ट का मुख्य क्राइटेरिया है वह जिले जहां पर या तो ज्यादा केसेस आ रहे हैं या रेट ऑफ ग्रोथ ऑफ केसेस ज्यादा है, या दूसरे शब्दों में कहें तो डबलिंग रेट ऑफ केसेस वहां पर कम है। आज उसी संबंध में कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी साहब की अध्यक्षता में सभी स्टेट के चीफ सेक्रेटरीज, डीजीपीज, हेल्थ सेक्रेटरीज, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर्स, सुपरिंटेंडेंट ऑफ पुलिस, म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर्स और चीफ मेडिकल ऑफिसर्स के साथ एक डिटेल्ड वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस ली गई थी, जिसमें हमने मुख्यतः उन्हें हॉटस्पॉट्स और कंटेनमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी से रिलेटेड डिटेल बताते हुए कंटेनमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी फील्ड लेवल पर कैसे इंप्लीमेंट करनी है उसके बारे में फिर से एक ओरिएंटेशन एक्सरसाइज की है। हमने वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस में उन्हें लार्ज कंटेनमेंट आउटब्रेक स्ट्रैटेजीज, लार्ज आउटब्रेक कंटेनमेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज और क्लस्टर कंटेनमेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज के बारे में डिटेल में बताया है। उस स्ट्रैटेजी के संबंध में कैसे कंटेनमेंट जोन, कैसे बफर जोन को डिलिनेट करना है, उसके बारे में बताया गया।
Meanwhile, researchers have found pathogenic coronaviruses in 2 species of Indian bats. A recent study by the Indian Council of Medical Research found the strains of coronaviruses different from the novel coronavirus in 2 bat species. However, ICMR scientist R. Ganga Khedkar said that there is no evidence to suggest that the bat coronaviruses can be transmitted to humans.
ये जो कोरोना वायरस होता है ये बैट्स के अंदर भी पाया जाता है। चाइना में जो भी रिसर्च हुआ उसमें एक चीज़ का पता चला कि जो वायरस हम लोगों में आया है वो या तो बैट्स में का वायरस ऐसे म्यूटेशंस डेवलप हुए जिससे वो इंसान के अंदर भी जाने की क्षमता रखता होगा और बीमारी करता होगा, उस किस्म का विषाणु बन गया और आया। नहीं तो दूसरा एक कहा जाता है कि ये बैट से पैंगोलिन करके एक मैमल है इंसान के वैसे, उसके अंदर आया होगा और वहाँ से वो इंसान में आया होगा। लेकिन ये सवाल शायद इसलिए पूछा जा रहा है क्योंकि हमने बैट्स के इसमें जो इमर्जिंग इन्फेक्शियस डिसीजेस होते हैं उनके कोई विषाणु पाए जाते हैं क्या, इसका सर्वेलेंस शुरू किया था। उसमें हमको दिखा कि 2 किस्म के बैट्स जो होते हैं उनमें कोरोना वायरस दिखाई दिया, लेकिन वो बैट का कोरोना वायरस था, वो इंसानों में आने की काबिलियत का नहीं था। बैट से इंसान में आने की घटना एक सादे तौर पे समझाने के लिए बोलता हूँ 1000 साल में एक आध बार होती होगी।
To break the chain of COVID-19 in the country, the states have been asked to focus on the buffer zones, that is the containment zones and the non-containment zones in the country. Anudivan for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now the international update. The total number of infected people with COVID-19 worldwide has crossed the 2 million mark, with the death toll due to the deadly virus surpassing 1,27,000. According to the WHO, Europe has the highest number of confirmed cases with nearly 1 million people infected. Spain has the highest number of confirmed cases in Europe with 1,77,633. Spain reported the largest increase in new infections in the last 24 hours. With 1,220 fresh cases, the country's total active cases is up to 88,201. Italy has registered more than 1,62,400 COVID-19 cases. The death toll on Tuesday in the country was 602, bringing the total to 21,067. The number of COVID-19 cases in France has exceeded the 1 lakh mark. France registered 5,497 new infections in the last 24 hours, while the death toll in the country is at 15,729. The United States continues to remain the worst hit country with over 6 lakh cases. The number of deaths due to the infection has crossed the 25,500 mark. Meanwhile, China has started the second phase of the clinical trial for a coronavirus vaccine in Wuhan, which involves 500 volunteer participants who have been injected with the vaccine. And now our top international focus. Amid increasing graph of deaths and positive cases related to COVID-19, the United States has suspended fresh funding to the World Health Organization or the WHO. US President Donald Trump said that America will review the role and the future structure of the apex UN body that looks into the health issues of the world.
Today I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus. Everybody knows what's going on there. American taxpayers provide between $400 million and $500 million per year to the WHO. In contrast, China contributes roughly $40 million a year and even less. As the organization's leading sponsor, the United States has a duty to insist on full accountability. One of the most dangerous and costly decisions from the WHO was its disastrous decision to oppose travel restrictions from China and other nations. They were very much opposed to what we did. Fortunately, I was not convinced and suspended travel from China, saving untold numbers of lives. Thousands and thousands of people would have died.
America is holding WHO responsible for two things. One, for opposing the travel ban to and from China, instead of taking the lead in ending travel to and from China. It is also accusing WHO of failing to share data and alerting the US about the pandemic. Even an all-party US Congressional Committee on Oversight and Reform wrote to the WHO chief criticizing his role in the aftermath of COVID-19. The committee categorically said, and I quote, "Throughout the crisis, the WHO shied away from placing any blame on the Chinese government, which is in a sense the Communist Party of China. You, as leader of the WHO, even went so far as to praise the Chinese government's transparency during the crisis, when in fact the regime has consistently lied to the world by underreporting their actual infection and death statistics. During the crisis, the WHO has repeatedly relied on false information from the Chinese government." The US panel's letter to the WHO chief says. The letter was written on 9th of April. Other countries have also expressed reservations about the role of WHO in the pandemic. However, the questions being asked are whether stopping funding or reforming WHO is the better option in these circumstances. America gives around $900 million per year to the WHO in direct or indirect assistance. UN Chief Antonio Guterres and Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison have requested the US President Donald Trump not to stop the fund at this moment.
Indeed, this is not just US President Donald Trump who has raised doubts about the role of WHO and its chief regarding COVID-19. There are many leaders in the world who had been raising such doubts for some time. Even Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that there is a need of reform in WHO. And for good things, there is never too late, so that bad things can be averted in near future. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television in Delhi.
And in some other news, the Indian Meteorological Department has predicted normal southwest monsoon for this year. While announcing the first stage long-range forecast on Wednesday, IMD Director General Mrityunjay Mohapatra said that long-period average will be 100%, which falls in the normal category. The IMD has revised the onset and withdrawal date of monsoon in several other parts of the country. However, monsoons are expected to hit Kerala on 1st of June. In some states including Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar and some parts of Uttar Pradesh, monsoon will be delayed by 3 to 7 days compared to the existing normal dates. Monsoons are expected to withdraw in South India on 15th of October. The IMD will issue updated forecasts in the last week of May or the first week of June as part of its second stage forecast.
ये जो पूर्वानुमान आज जारी हो रहा है, इसका प्रमुख विवरण यही है कि समूचे देश में दक्षिण पश्चिम मानसून की ऋतुनिष्ठ जून से सितंबर वर्षा लगभग सामान्य रहने का संभावना है। हम इसको सामान्य बोलते हैं जब रेनफॉल लॉन्ग पीरियड एवरेज की 96% से 104% के बीच में होता है। मात्रात्मक रूप से देखें तो इस साल जून से सितंबर के बीच में जो मानसून सीजनल रेनफॉल होने का हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं वो 100% है।
As the Indian economy and especially the farmers are struggling from the coronavirus outbreak, there is a big relief which came today from IMD as they have predicted to have a normal monsoon this year. Aruna Thakur from Rajya Sabha Television.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of News Tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.